Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be looking at how we can build high quality, nice to look at, usable PowerPoint slides. So I'm going to give you my top 5 tips on how we can utilize PowerPoint for better presentations. Everybody's heard the term death by PowerPoint. For me it's a little bit unfair, because at the end of the day PowerPoint is nothing more than a tool to display information on the screen. It's the information and content which makes the presentation good or bad. I've been involved in building training and lessons using different software systems for many years, and I've seen companies spend a lot of money moving away from PowerPoint when it was never PowerPoint was the issue. It was the content they were trying to display on the screen. And we've all sat in front of displays and presentations which have sent you to sleep, and all it takes is a little bit of design and a little bit of thought and effort. We can get away from this death by PowerPoint and produce some really nice PowerPoint slides. So the first thing we're going to look at is fonts. Okay, fonts are incredibly important because it really affects the look and feel of your PowerPoint presentation. How the typography and how the words are displayed on the screen is fundamental to getting a good quality PowerPoint presentation. There is many different types of fonts we can use within PowerPoint, some which are inbuilt within PowerPoint, others which we can import. So you can see we've got things like your normal sans serif fonts, we've got fancy fonts, handwritten fonts, we've got all the different styles of fonts you can use. For me, the most important thing is make it readable. So not only do we pick a typeface which is easy to read, we ensure that it is a good size on the screen so people are not straining their eyes to read the presentation. So pick your fonts wisely. Now if we're looking at some of the big companies within the tech industry, you can see companies such as Apple, they use these lovely sans serif fonts which are clean, they're clear cut and very easy to read. And they also use subtle variations of colour as well. You can see that goes from black to grey. These companies spend a lot of money on their fonts to get them to look exactly as the way they want to. You don't have to, because for PowerPoint it still has some very nice fonts built in. Now you can see Microsoft does exactly the same. They use these lovely sans serif clean cut fonts which are very easy to read on the screen. And the last example is Sky. You can see they've done exactly the same. White background with grey text, and really punches out the screen and makes it easy to read. So my top tip for you is use and stick to sans serif fonts. They're so much easier on the eye, and it's so much easy to pick out the information on your screen. So some of the fonts we should be using, things like Calibri, Tahoma, Arial, and all the rest of the sans serif fonts you've got on board. You can see that Bebas Neue, that's one which I've imported, so you can import fonts as well as use the ones which are already on your machines. Microsoft Sans is a very nice font as well, and one of the new sort of design fads at the moment is using lightweight, or what they call hairline fonts. So you can see them making the font slightly lighter, but you can see how easy these words are to read, and that's what you need to be looking for. What we don't want to be doing is using decorative or script fonts. Okay, we need to be staying away from those because they may look quite nice in a printed document, but on a screen they're just very difficult to read. And what you want to do is make sure that your presentation is easy on the eyes and not like you're being repeatedly punched in the face by Mike Tyson, because that's what your viewers do not want to see. Okay, so that is scripts, and sorry, that is fonts. So next we're going to look at colours, the use of colour within our presentations. Colour again is vitally important because it sets the tone, look and feel of your presentation. If you get the colours right, your presentation will be great. If you get them wrong, again, it just looks hideous and people won't want to watch your presentations. Now, we can use colour in many ways. For example, in this slide, we can take a black and white image and we can overlay colour, just to give a different sense and depth of the image. Now, we can choose colours which go together and work together very well, and we'll talk about that a bit later on in this section. but choosing colours and which colours work together is vitally important. We can also use colour to draw the user's eye to certain elements of your slide. Very good for things like text or pieces of information you want the viewer to be drawn to. Now you can see this image here. This was done in Photoshop, but you can do a very similar technique in PowerPoint, and I do have a video on my YouTube channel showing you how to do this. Human beings are incredibly visually stimulated. That's why, for example, we love CGI movies, and video games is such a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you can make the use of colour to make the slides visually appealing, you're going to win half the battle in your presentations. So lots of colour and lots of different pieces, so the eyes move around the slide and it keeps you visually stimulated. If you are insane enough to be using white colour schemes, white corporate colour schemes, or lots of white images, it's not my favourite. I tend to like dark presentations, but try not to use black text on white backgrounds, because it just is very difficult on the eye, especially for long periods of time. If you have lessons or presentations which are an hour long and you're pummeling your viewers' eyes with black text on white backgrounds, it's not going to be good for them. All it takes is a very, very slight change. Use a dark grey, because even though it's a very subtle change, the intensity on the eyes is much less, and it's much easier to read. So again, on white backgrounds, use dark grey and not black text. What works even better is contrasting colours, because that punches the text completely out of your slide, and it allows it to be more easily read. When it comes to picking colour schemes for slides, again, it is quite difficult. But what you need to be looking at is picking colours which contrast and work together well. Alright, so it's not easy, but what I'll show you in a minute is my techniques on how I look at picking colours which complement each other. You don't have to be a designer. There is a lot of information in the internet now on different designer sites which will allow you to pick contrasting colours and colours which are very complementary to each other. So try and pick colours which work together. You can see for this slide I've gone for an orange and a grey just to punch the little labels out there, but I've also used the grey because if you look at the engines which are displayed, because they're grey, it just picks out the different elements. But the images are easy to read, the text easy to read, so this is what we're kind of looking for when it comes to colour schemes. Okay, I'm just going to run through a couple of resources on the internet which will allow you to use colour much more effectively and easier. You don't need to be a designer, a graphic designer, to get your colours right. As I said, on the internet there's lots of resources which will allow you to pick different colour palettes which complement each other. So if you're stuck on which colour themes to use within PowerPoint, you can come to, for example, colorhex.com, which will give you a load of colour palettes, colours which work together quite well. So if you want to go for like a grey look, or for example the Google colours or Metro UI colours work really well, and what it'll do is it'll give you the hex values and the RGB values for these colours, and you'll find the colours work incredibly well together. So it just takes the pain out of trying to find colours which work together. So you can see these designers have come together and they've done a lot of different shades and colours which work together. So you can come in here and you can pick a palette which suits you down to the ground, really, depending on what style and feel your presentation wants to look for. I also use Colour Picker as well, so colorpicker.com, which is really great, because what this allows you to do is it allows you to pick different colours, and it will give you the RGB and also the hex codes, the colour codes for these colours. So again, you can experiment, and then you can just copy and paste these numbers and then put them straight into your PowerPoint, so you can get the colours, exact colours you want as well. So these are my two favourite things. So it's colorhex.com and also Colour Picker. These are the two things I use on my presentations, also on my websites as well. if I'm looking for a colour scheme from a website, I'll come in here and I'll pick something which really works well. I like things like retro. I think that looks really nice. So for example, you use the grey as a background, and you could use that for font colours or whatever takes your pick really. There's many to choose from, so it depends how adventurous or how not adventurous you want to be with your colours. So use these and it'll make colours a lot easier within your presentations.